Now it's time to welcome our special guest, author and economist, Dr. Art Laffer. Dr. Laffer, thanks so much for being back here with us on The Income Generation.
It's my pleasure, David. It's always fun being with you.
You know, we spoke just 6 months ago and you said a couple things. I was surprised to hear you say that you, at that point, weren't that worried about a Biden administration. You didn't think it would be as bad as some people thought. You said, gosh, if he could do 100 million arms in 100 days, that's a huge goal. That's great. And he did it. He seems to be at least trying to compromise with Congress, which is good. But what do you think is going to happen without this whole tax mess? Do you think, how bad do you think it's going to be for Americans, especially retired Americans?
Yeah, I really do not think all of his tax stuff is going to get passed and get put through Congress. I really don't believe it will. I mean, here we have a 21% corporate tax rate that he wants to raise up to 28%. I don't see how he gets that to be very serious. What's he going to do? Raise the 37% tax rate to 39.6%? Raise the capital gains to 43%? No, I don't think Congress has an appetite for anything like that sort of stuff. Now, the minimum tax globally is one of the silliest ideas in the world. What we need is countries to compete with each other for business, not to collude against their electorates. And that's exactly what a global minimum tax does, is allows them to collude. So I think he's not going to do as well.
Think about it, Dr. Laffer. If corporations tried to collude in that way, they'd be taken to court, right? So you can't do that, and it's not even smart politics. But which parts, let's break this down. Which parts of this tax change do you think are most lethal versus those that are less lethal, right? We got the corporate tax raise, we got the capital gains raise, we got the raise in brackets, we got the removal of step up and basis. What's the worst? What's not so bad? Tell us.
Well, for the retirees, the removal of the step-up basis is very, very serious. If you die and you have capital gains, we have something right now which steps up the basis before it gets any tax. There's no the accrued unpaid capital gains tax, unrealized capital gains tax is avoided. He would put that unrealized capital gains there, and he would raise the death tax. So that would be a very serious one if it were to pass. I don't think much of this is going to pass, David. And the reason I don't think so is I don't think there's any political appetite for it. I mean, if you look at what happened, the last Democrat who tried to raise tax a lot was Bill Clinton. In 1993, if you'll remember that, he raised the highest marginal income tax rate to 39.6. And what happened is every Democrat every Republican running in the House for re-election was reelected. Every Republican running for re-election in the Senate was reelected. Every Republican governor running for re-election was reelected, including 2 under federal indictment. It is a political loser. This guy Biden will lose in the midterms drastically if he pushes this stuff through quickly. So I think the Democrats know that, and I don't think they're going to fall for the bait. I don't think so.
Okay. Tell me, do you think, generally speaking, that today's tax laws are fair for retirees and those approaching retirement, or do you think certain changes could happen that would make them more fair?
Yeah, I think the tax code is a hodgepodge of unfairness all the way through. What you really want to have on a fair tax code is people in similar circumstances should pay similar amounts in taxes. They should. And that's not a way our tax codes are. I think it's 70,000 pages of tax things. So all the lawyers and all the deferred income specialists and all the lobbyists and all that stuff get muddled in there. What we need is a low rate, broad-based, flat tax. No exceptions, no exemptions, no exclusions, none of that stuff. And you could do that with a 13% flat tax, which is what Jerry Brown proposed in 1992 when he was running in the primary against Clinton. And that would be the fair tax. That would be just the perfect tax. Just collect your revenues with a low rate, broad-based low rate to make sure that people are not incentivized to try to avoid paying taxes, and a broad base so they don't find places where they can put their money to avoid taxes, and just be done with it. That's the right way to do taxes.
Okay, so let's turn lemons into lemonade, right? Because that's all we can do if we have lemons. So that means that there are loopholes, there are legal loopholes, there are strategies that retirees can utilize to lower their taxes. So if you could point out one or two of those that you think might best apply to our viewers and our listeners.
Well, you know, one of the things that I've done is I've given my maximum amount to my children and grandchildren. I can so I can avoid the death tax when they get it. When I start a business and do something or invest, I try to transfer the low-priced stock into my family's names and into their trusts, so they get to keep that without having a death tax associated with it. I try to keep my health care situation very carefully done, so I'm good. But when you look at retirees, they should really remember, David, that it is true you should make as much as you can, and you should pay as little tax as you can so you can make as much after tax as you can, and then you should invest that money as best you can. But remember the third one, and the third one's really make sure you spend your money well so you enjoy retirement. Make sure you use the money in a correct way. Don't go squandering it. Don't go to fancy high-priced restaurants where the caloric intake is too high. It makes you sick, and you have to pay a lot of money for it. Enjoy life the way it is. And there are so few retirees that really do enjoy their lives the way they should. I mean, I'm having a blast. I'm 81 years old, and I can't tell you how happy I am. And I don't spend much money at all. I mean, I don't find fancy things really pleasureful. I've got my little farm out in Kentucky. I go there. I've got my animals. I walk around and sniffle them. But that's what really should be done. Spend your money to make you happy.
Dr. Laffer, that's incredible holistic advice you don't often hear from an economist. And that's why our whole model is investing for interest and dividends, because the more income you have, the more choices you have, the more flexibility
exactly.
and so on. And I hope that the step-up in basis doesn't pass, but I have to tell you, because dead people don't vote, it might just be the easiest thing for them to jam through. So
I don't think so.
All good things must come to an end. Unfortunately, we're out of time today, but Dr. Laffer, thanks so much for being here with us again on the show. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, David. Thank you very much for having me.